Hi, welcome back to the channel. Unfortunately, it's another bit of a sorry old story to tell. The boat's come in for shot blasting and a full paint job, but unfortunately there's three quite bad areas that we've got to look at. We've shot blasted it all off. Unfortunately, under the bow there is a few holes that have appeared once we were blasting. So if the customer took the boat much further along the canal and found the bottom of the canal or hit something that's in the canal, it could have been quite a sorry state. There must have been literally less than a millimetre under the base plate. If he caught anything solid on the bottom of the canal or run aground, he could have been literally sinking within minutes of running aground. It would be taking on water. So unfortunately we've got to repair that, and then we've got to overplate and underplate. There's also no wear edge left on the side, so we're going to have to repair that. And then there's quite a lot of damage on the main cabin as well, so we're going to have to do some work on that. So again, what's come in is a simple job is now pretty bad, to be fair. If the sides was worse and we had to do the sides as well, it probably wouldn't even make it cost effective to repair. Luckily for the customer, the sides are acceptable. They're still pretty bad, but they are acceptable and intolerant, so we haven't got to do much work on the side other than build up the wear edge. Years and years of applying bitumen and God knows what was on the roof, because it just wouldn't blast off. Some sort of rubberized coating. As you can see, it's not really protected the hull very well, but they've obviously kept putting more and more paint on every couple of years just to try and hopefully protect it as much as they can. But as you can see, it's not really done a great job. So let's have a look at what we found. Right, so as you can see here, we've actually shot blasted through the actual steel base plate, quite thin all around this area. There's another one over here. So what we're probably going to have to do is at least sort of cut this section out and then re-weld a section in first. So we're trying to seal up the inner skin first, just in case there's any sort of discrepancy or any problems with the outer skin. So then it's got at least two sealed holes in theory. It's not going to be easy to make sure it's sealed 100% on the inside, but we want to try and get it as good as we can on the inside before we put the outer skin on. It's not a nice job to have to do, especially when you're underneath a boat. A lot of overhead welding, so it's not a nice job, and it's not an easy job. So we need some very dedicated and skilled people to do this. We've got to be very careful inside. Obviously it's fitted out, so there's a lot of dry timber, so again there's a big fire risk, so we've got to be really careful what we do. The importance of having your boat checked and shot blasted and epoxied is massive now. The only way to see it properly is to blast it all off so you can see what's happening behind the coating. We keep telling everybody and we keep publicising this, but people still aren't really listening. Every week we're discussing things with people on Facebook and social media. Everybody thinks their boat's all in pristine condition because they can see the bitumen's still on. It doesn't mean anything. And then, like I say, you've got underneath the boat as well, which people don't really look. Surveyors will give it a tap with a hammer, maybe a bit of a scrape, but it just baffles me, to be honest. Unless you blast it off to see it properly, there's no way you can know. But every boat that comes into us is unfortunately ending up as a bit of a story to tell. But let's have a look what else we found on this boat. Onto the superstructure a little bit here. Obviously the obvious problems here. Again, we've got a lot of corrosion. Literally that's through to the cabin inner materials. So again, we're going to have to patch that one up. This side's the same. Looks like, I don't know if these were added on it afterwards. I mean, the welding's absolutely atrocious. I've never seen anything like it, but So yeah, we're going to have to patch those up. Some of the rubbing strips on the front as well are going to have to be cut off to get rid of the corrosion behind them. Then moving further down the boat, you can see here, so we've got a reasonable wear edge there, and you can see there's a weld running along, so you know, you're quite, you know, there's a few holes and stuff which is not great, but you're hoping that there's a good weld on the inside as well. So but as you come further along, come along this strip, all of a sudden I can only assume that it's literally wore the wear edge away because it's so thin. I can't imagine they started with plate with no wear edge, but you never know. Maybe the plate was a bit thin, I don't know. But yeah, as this wear edge gets for, I mean, you look at here, so there's no protection whatsoever. So again, if you scrape down concrete or something, you can scrape straight through that weld, and again, it could be taken on water very quickly, very easily. So yeah, what we're going to do is obviously underplate that, so you'll have new steel there. Where this is, we'll try and weld that and see. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It does look like you've got a fair bit of meat left on the steel. So if we can weld that without putting a strip on, then we will do. We'll try that, because again, we don't want to be spending the customer's money for nothing. But if that's too hot and it's burning into the steel and it looks bad, then what I'll do, I'll put a piece, the underplate will go on, and then I'll just put a 2-inch sort of strip on there, so we're welding nice clean material, and then we'll have to weld across the top of it. But we'll try it first if we can. I mean, it doesn't look, the bottom looks okay, so as long as we can weld onto this weld that's there, we should be able to seal it up reasonably well without putting an extra strip on. The other side's fine, to be fair. It's got quite a big wear edge, so that'll be okay. There's just a few spots that are very vulnerable. Again, there's literally no wear edge, minimal weld left, so we're literally relying on the weld on the inside, which again we can't see without literally stripping the whole inside out, which again just adds to cost. So yeah, we just got to try our best really and try and do what we can to seal it all up. Again, there's some very poor welding here, so we're going to have to go around that and grind that out and re-weld that. And then, you know, we've got to try and paint it the best we can for the money we've got. You know, you could spend 3 weeks filling everything to try and make it, but you know, the customer just hasn't got that sort of budget, so it's not going to be a fantastic paint job. It's going to be based more on protection than looks. So again, we'll put like a high build primer on it just to protect it as much as we can, and then it's having new windows, and we've just got to try, you know, it's just somewhere he wants to live, you know, so he's got to try and get as many years out of it as he can, you know. We're just very lucky that the sides, there'll be a few pits that will need welding up, but on the whole the sides thankfully are not too bad, so it's what has saved the job really. If that was bad as well, by the time you underplated and then overplated the sides, you know, and a full paint job, you'd be looking at nearly 30 grand. So I mean, it just had blown it out. It wouldn't have been worth doing. But we can try and keep costs down as much as possible for him. The underside, like I say, got no choice but to be done, and then tidy up the top the best we can. Like I say, not a job that we particularly want to do, but you know, it's coming for blasting and painting. This is the thing, we never know how bad they're going to be till they get here. you know, everybody's under the illusion that, oh no, it's been re-blacked every 2 years, you know, it's going to be fine. But the reality is that, you know, it probably, well, I was going to say 9 out of 10 boats won't be, but to be honest, every one that's come out needs blasting and epoxy at least, and then probably 7 out of 10 probably needs some form of welding in one place or another, just to get them back up to spec. So it could have been a lot worse. Like I said, it could have sank very easily, or the sides could have needed doing, and it just wouldn't be worth doing. But hopefully we can turn it round, and we'll show you some videos of what it goes out like.